and then you sign. That happens, ah. So, paano kung hindi mo chinek yun? Hindi mo chinek, hindi mo inalam kung sino talaga may-ari ng property. Hindi nagbayad ka na sa kanya. Tapos, edi lumipat ka na dun sa property. Kaya ang nangyari, nagbakasyon yung totoong owner doon sa property na yan. Umuwi from abroad. And then biglang, oh, ba't nandiyan ka sa property ko? That's mine. So that's a big problem. So it's really important to check when you are trying to purchase a property, you have to verify the title. You have to check what are the annotations on the title. Ano ba ang mga nakasulat doon sa title? Now, when you see an original title, normally, hindi mo naman makikita lahat ng annotations doon. So you have to conduct or get certification. Check mo ngayon, ano pa ba ang ibang nakasulat na annotation? Kasi for all you know, sinanla pala yung property na yan. May utang pala yan. Diba? So paano mo bibilhin yan kung may utang yan? So you have to pay the bank first before you settle the remaining balance with the seller. Or what if nagkaroon ng encroachment yung property? So if you're not familiar with encroachment, yung sumobra, kinain mo yung lupa ng kapitbahay mo. Right? Paano mo yon aayusin? So that's a big issue. Kasi ang issue diyan is malilipat ko ba sa pangalan ko yung ownership? Kasi kung di ko malilipat yan, tapos nagbayad na ako sa'yo, malaking risk yan sa akin as a buyer. Yan. Marami pang issues. These are just some things that I mentioned here, like dispendence. A dispendence is a notice to the public that the property has a pending case or tax geodetic survey yung ginagawa pag merong encroachment. So yun yung due diligence mo. You have to hire a geodetic survey company to check kung tama ba yung sukat ng property na binibili mo. What if yung binili mong property ay nagdagdag pala ng floor area? Two-story lang sa tax declaration niya, meaning yung tax declaration kasi pinapakita doon yung it's a document that shows the details of the property, the floor area. And what if nagdagdag ng floor area? Meaning dati 200 square meters, ngayon 300. So hindi updated yung tax declaration property. Kung hindi malinaw yan at hindi mo nahuli yan, mag-aaway kayo ng seller. Kasi confused ka na eh. So, like, di ako magbabayad yan, di ba? Or what if the seller insists you pay for that? So that's a big issue. So as a buyer, it's important to always be on the defense. Like, always understand what are the things that I need to check in order to fully grasp yung risk involved in buying a property. The next would be taxes. And this is where it becomes tricky at times. Because when you buy a property, sometimes it's not clear who will pay the taxes. In some instances, it's clear on the contract. Normally, when you buy a property, you have to pay the capital gains tax. So that's the tax that you pay to BIR, which is an equivalent of 6% of the zonal value and fair market value, whichever is higher. What if that property pala was used in business? Ang napag-usapan nyo lang, capital gains tax. Kung used in business yan, it becomes ordinary asset. What do I mean by that? When it becomes ordinary asset, it becomes vatable. Now, hindi lang value-added tax babayaran mo. Meron ka pang creditable withholding tax. And then, there's also transfer tax, idle land tax, documentary stamp tax, real property tax. So, ang dami palang tax na kailangan bayaran, no? But minsan nagugulat ang buyer, ha? Sinong babayad yan? Who pays for what? Right? And as someone who's buying a property, you have to understand who pays for what. And it has to be clear in the event that the property is used in business, it has to be the seller who will pay for the value added tax. But in rare cases, there are discussions or negotiations where the buyer absorbs all the taxes. Minsan kasi, sa sobrang ganda ng property, willing bayaran ng buyer lahat ng taxes. Makuha niya lang yung property. And in other cases naman, strict naman si seller. Hindi, ikaw magbayad niyan. I'll pay for the capital gains tax. I'll pay for the value added tax if applicable. But you pay for the documentary stamp tax, which is usually paid by the buyer talaga. Saan nagkakaroon ng confusion pag mga ganitong taxes? When you are buying through a developer, minsan hindi tayo nagbabasa ng contract to sell. Kasi contract to sell, if you notice ang contract to sell, ang liliit ng sulat, right? Bakit kaya? Bakit kaya maliliit yung sulat nung contract to sell, tas ang haba-haba niya? Why? Kasi it's a technique for you not to read it. Parang sometimes sa sobrang dami nung nakasulat, ang liliit ng sulat, 'di ba tatama rin kang basahin? Like just an example like sa online, 'di ba? Before you can proceed in an application, you will have to agree to the terms and conditions of a certain application. Sa sobrang haba nun, tas ang liliit, normally you just scroll down and just you tick the box and then you say submit or accept. But not when you are reviewing your contract. No matter how small it is, you have to read it word per word because there are fine prints in the contract na pag hindi na overlook mo yon could be detrimental to you in purchasing the property kasi hindi mo na intindihan fully who will shoulder what taxes or what taxes will be involved in buying a property. In some cases naman, meron pang idle land tax. Bumili ka ng bahay, nagkataon, yung bahay na binili mo may garden. Hindi mo alam na dyan sa local government unit where you're staying, right? Kunyari, Pasig City. Ang garden pala, pag hindi mo yan nilagyan ng improvement or floor area, they can dispute na lagyan ng idle land tax. So just imagine, just because you're not aware, so magugulat kayo ngayon. So this happens a lot in transactions where the buyers were not able to do complete due diligence or their agents or their brokers were not able to give them this kind of information. So nagkakagulatan na lang. Ang problem dyan is firefighting ka na. Hindi mo na alam. Kasi what if the cost involved is so significant? We're not talking about hundreds of thousands here. We're talking about millions sometimes. And lastly, the closing cost. So when you're buying a property, you're not just buying the price shared by the developer or the seller. There's what you call closing cost. A closing cost are expenses when your property is transferred under your name. So these are registration fee, notarial fee, and includes transfer tax, documentary stamp tax. Yan. Of course, the broker's fee, there's still broker's fee, but generally that's being paid by the seller, but sometimes paid by the buyer. It depends on the negotiation. But bottom line, in the acquisition alone, as the buyer, you should be able to understand all these expenses, all these taxes. Kasi malaki yung implication nito sa expenses mo. And if you're planning to buy a property, we're not just talking about thousands, millions to eh. So every peso counts uh in every move. So you really have to understand this. Otherwise, it's going to be a big problem. Right? So hindi ka happy, excited ka nung start, tapos along the way when you're buying the property, parang alam mo 'yun, medyo na-irate ka na or nainis ka na kasi you keep on paying additional money. Kasi akala mo all in, right? When a seller is sharing an amount, you have to ask ano yung mga expenses involved dito. If you're not used to buying a property, no, you really have to ask who pays for what and what are the expenses. Now, if you have an agent or you have a broker, you can ask or ask them to compute ano-ano ba yung mga need kong bayaran, ano-ano yung estimate expenses. So that is considered part of financial planning when you are considering to buy a property. This is a sample. In this sample, it's a townhouse with a lot area of 120 square meters, floor area of 200. It's a two-story townhouse with 3 bedroom, two toilet and bath, two-car garage with a pocket garden, and selling price of 10 million. So here are the sample expenses. Assuming this property is a capital asset and the selling price is 10 million. So the capital gains tax computation would be 10 million times 6%. Which assuming that the selling price is higher than the zonal value. Yung zonal value kasi is the amount dictated by the BIR, which you can actually see sa website ng BIR. And then you compare your selling price with the zonal value. In rare instances, zonal value is higher than the selling price. In that case, it becomes the basis for the computation of the capital gains tax. So in this case, ang assumption natin, selling price is higher than zonal value. So capital gains tax is 600,000. So who pays for the capital gains tax? Generally, it's the seller. But in some cases, upon agreement, buyer pays for it. It really depends. Same way, in this example, the property is a capital asset. Capital asset means hindi siya ginamit sa negosyo. It's property na ginamit personally or binibenta, ginawa to sell. And then the broker's fee here is assuming it's 5% to 500,000. So if the seller pays, the selling price is 10 million, yung 1.1 million is already included in the selling price. So the gross selling price is 10 million. Now here are some of the computation of the of the taxes and expenses that you need to consider once you buy a property. So in this example, I show documentary stamp tax. The general, the rate normally is 1.5%. And based on the 10 million closing price, assuming the 10 million is the selling price and closing price at the same time. Kasi in reality, tumatawad ka naman eh. So in this case, the documentary stamp tax is 1.5% and that's 150,000. So this is when you transfer the property. Earlier, the capital gains tax is paid to BIR. In this case naman, and the DST is paid to BIR. So when you transfer the property under your ownership, you have to pay registration fee, of course, notarial fee, IT fees, transfer tax, processing fee, you know. So in this example, the computation for registration fee is 46,000. Paano ko nakuha yan? So there's a table that we follow in computing that. And then notarial fee, normally it's 1,000 per million. So 10 million divided by 1,000. So 10,000. And then IT fees, ito naman kapag magpa-process ka na sa Registry of Deeds. Yan. So these are just things I'm trying to share to you guys na para aware kayo. So you have to pay IT fees, research, titling fees, yan. So these are just estimates, so more or less 5,000. And then transfer tax, 0.75% paid to the RD or Registry of Deeds, 75,000. Ano naman yung processing fee? Ito yung pag may liaison officer who will handle the processing of payment to BIR, and then payment to Registry of Deeds, payment to assessor's office. Yan. So more or less, the total expenses is 316,146. So magkano yung buong babayaran mo? Ang alam mong selling price is 10 million. Pero on top of that, you have to pay an additional 3% more or less of the selling price. Yan. So, dito minsan nagugulat ang buyer or yung bumibili. Ha? Akala ko 10 million all in na, wala na akong ilalabas. Ba't biglang may ilalabas pa ako? Eh, yung budget ko sagad na yan eh. Yun. 10 million lang talaga yung pambayad ko. So, paano yun? If you don't have enough or extra cash or equity, hindi mo maililipat sa pangalan mo yung property. And that's going to be a big problem. Nabayaran mo nga yung seller, hindi mo naman mailipat sa pangalan mo yung ownership. So pag hindi mo mailipat yan, tetenga ngayon yan. Right? And then, yung penalties will continue to incur. So marami kang babayarang back taxes. Yan. So nangyayari po yan in reality. May mga bumibili ng property, hindi nila nailipat. So nung time na binibenta na nila, grabe, ang laki nung back taxes nila. Kaya minsan hindi nila mabenta kasi ang laki na eh. So ipapa-shoulder nila sa buyer. Kung ako yung buyer, may natutunan na ako kay Jesse mag-conduct ng due diligence eh. 'Di ba? So, is it wise to buy that property? So you have to understand now yung risk appetite mo. Are you aggressive? Is your risk appetite high? And if yes, will you be able to absorb the loss? Willing ka ba na bayaran yung back taxes nila, mabili mo lang yung property? And if not, then it's a no-go. So these are the things in the acquisition that you need to remember. Buyer beware. You always conduct your extra due diligence. Always remember to read the fine prints of the contract no matter how small they are. Kasi in these fine prints, you will realize if you are protected or not. Third, you have to clarify all the expenses and who will shoulder these expenses, because this is where confusion comes in. When both the seller or the buyer were not able to discuss kung sino ba talagang gagastos. Right? So, paano pag nasa kalagitnaan na kayo and you're not able to discuss it? Gulo to. So, this will make or break the deal. And lastly, as someone who is aspiring to buy a property, you have to review your financial condition and discuss before making a decision. I believe this is the most important thing because buying a property is a really big decision. Right? Kasi pag nag-start ka na dyan at natali na yung major portion of your active income, ang hirap ng kumawala dyan eh. So you really have to project your cash flow. In my example earlier, that is an instance where you're buying a property through equity. That means you have 10 million cash. But it turns out, hindi pala dapat 10 million yung pera ko. If I'm buying 10 million, dapat pala may 11 million ako. Kasi may mga iba pa akong babayaran. Gagastos pa ako sa due diligence, tapos gagastos pa ako sa closing expenses. Ang dami ko palang babayaran. Ngayon, depende pa kung anong pinag-usapan namin nung nagbibenta. What if gustong-gusto ko yung property talaga? Do I have enough financial resources to purchase that property? And if not, that's the time you postpone or decide maybe that today is not the right time. The next would be in acquisition. Should you decide to borrow money? So in many instances, of course, there are buyers na in the case of Benny, si Benny, in my story earlier, so he's a senior manager, he's working. So for the sake of discussion, he has 2 million savings. and he's buying a 10 million property. Paano yan? 2 million lang yung kaya niya. Ngayon, anong gagawin niya? So another option would be to borrow money through financing. You're aware naman of bank financing, right? So the major question would be, is Benny's income of 150,000 enough for him to get approval from the bank? Is it enough? So the bank, being banks, of course, they will do their own due diligence. They will check if you have existing credits. They will check if your income is enough to pay off the monthly obligations. And if not, of course, the bank will decline you after careful review. The price of borrowing is not just interest, it's time, commitment, and opportunity lost. This is so important because remember, when you're buying a property, in reality, it's really exciting to buy a property. Why not, right? If there's an opportunity for you to buy, but you have to be a critical thinker when you're buying a property. Kasi masakit to eh. Masakit to sa bulsa pag hindi mo pinag-isipan. At you have to make sure na kaya mo talaga to. Kaya mo siyang i-sustain. Especially if you go through bank financing. This is where sustainable income is important. Because hindi lang monthly principal ang babayaran mo. You're gonna pay literally big interest payments monthly for the next XX number of years. So I'm gonna show some example. In the case of Benny, this is sample loan computation. So Benny, di ba, was trying to buy a property. It's a townhouse. And the townhouse is worth 10 million. Benny has 2 million savings. Now, he's planning to take out a loan from XYZ Bank, and the remaining balance that he needs to pay is 8 million pesos. Now, he applied for the bank. A bank loan. As the bank will now appraise the property. I-check nila yung value. Now, generally, the bank normally appraise, or the loan takeout is normally 80% of the appraised value. So, for example, for the sake of discussion, the selling price is 10 million. And then 100% appraisals, 80% appraisal sila, di ba? So 80% is 8 million. So yung approved loanable amount ni Benny is 80% of 8 million. So that's 6.4 million. Now I'm going to use 6.5% going rate here because the current going rates right now among banks is within 6.5 to 7%. Assuming the loan term proposal is 20 years, that's a maximum term given DEBA Bank, the monthly amortization now is 47,716. And the total payment that he needs to pay for the loan of 6.4 million is 11,452,000. So you look at the interest below. If he will buy that property for the next 20 years, he will pay 5 million worth of interest because walang cash si Benny. So he will use the bank facility to pay off the balance to get the property. So if you look at the computation, Benny paid 2 million out of his savings. Now, based on the bank loan, approved loan is only 6.4. The total amount that he needs to pay after the bank approval is an additional equity of 1.6. Diba? Kakasabi ko lang, 2 million lang ang savings ni Benny. Yung total na babayaran niya ngayon, based on the second down payment or additional equity plus bank loan for the next 20 years would be 15,052,000. So principal plus interest. If you were Benny and then you applied for a loan, will you buy the property? That's our question earlier. Will Benny buy the property or not? So, ayan. May mga feedback tayo dito. No. 'Di ba? Ang laki nung nawalang pera. That's true. That's true. Initially, excited ka kasi you want to buy the property. But the moment you look at the computation, OMG, can I even afford to pay the monthly? 47,000. Not just that. I do not just need to pay the 47,000. I need to shell out an extra 1.6 million. Question, where will he get 1.6 million? If wala siyang savings and wala siyang other assets, maybe buying that property is not the right time to buy today. Maybe he needs to increase his active income. Diba? Well, I won't suggest na mangungutang si Benny kasi imagine mo, dalawa na utang mo. Uutangin mo yung additional equity, tas uutangin mo yung approved loan. So he will pay a lot. So in this case, as a financial planner, I won't suggest Benny to buy the property. Why? I have 2 million savings. I'm okay. I have a happy marriage. I'm okay. I just got promoted, senior manager. Diba? So what I'll do is, I use the 2 million, use it, invest it somewhere else that will give me significant dividends or interest, so much so that in the event that I can already afford, then I can buy the property. Ang question naman dyan is, paano kung tumaas na yung property? Ganun talaga. Tumataas yung value ng property eh. So maybe that's not the right property for Benny. Yun. So now he has to weigh his options. Now he has to check, what are the viable options for me, given the fact that this is my current condition, financial condition. Diba? Kung hindi mo afford, wag mong bilhin. Kasi sakit sa ulo yan. So that would be my suggestion. Kasi 5 million, diba? If I could have saved that and invested that somewhere else. But the moment you have enough equity, assuming Benny has more than 2 million, and he just needs maybe 3 million additional equity and then binaro niya yun sa bank, that could be a better solution kasi mas malaki na yung equity niya. Kaya niya na ngayon bayaran yung majority of the selling price. Konti na lang yung kailangan niyang utangin. So you see now the dream versus reality concept. Aspiration is good, but once the reality sinks in, now I have to pay a lot of things pala. I have to really consider how much do I need to pay and what are the expenses that I need to identify before I make or proceed with that decision. So these are the things that you need to consider. Interest. Interest is a big part of monthly payments. Diba? Sinong gusto magbayad ng interest? If you break down principal and interest, in reality, you pay more interest than principal. Maliit lang ang mababawas sa total loan principal. In fact, in my example earlier, for 20 years, how much yan? 6.4 yung loanable amount. And ang total interest is 5 million. That's almost double of the loanable amount. That's the amount of interest that you need to pay for the next 20 years for buying the time. Diba? Kasi yun yung binabayaran mo yung oras. So always remember these following charges. So pag nangutang ka, akala mo interest lang. No? So pag nangutang ka, may charges din upon approval of the loan. So may extra expenses pa yan that you have to settle with the bank. And then, should you decide na ayaw ko nang ituloy yung loan kasi may equity na ako, I will pay. So that's a good idea. No? Once, kunyari lang, Ben is able now to afford kasi malaki na yung equity, malaki na yung cash niya eh. Ginawa niya yung financing, 'di ba? Pero yung kailangan niyang utangin na lang is less than 5 million or 4 million na lang. Kasi kaya niya na eh. Nakaipon siya na malaki, babayaran ko na ng buo yan. So you have to pay pre-termination cost sa bank. Kasi lugi yung bangko sa'yo eh. Kumbaga yung bangko tumaya sa'yo. Eh ngayon, ikakat na nila yung loan mo. In some banks naman, they don't charge you with pre-termination cost. So these are all important things that you need to remember when you go through the bank financing. And mind you, banks are more strict today than before. They ask a lot of requirements. Unfortunately, I thought that assets will give you a big cushion. For example, you have big investments, you have other assets, ganyan. But turns out what the bank really looks into is your capacity based on your income, your active income. Yon. Kaya bang bayaran? Kasi iba-iba yung computation ng banks eh. The way they approve the loan. May percentage of something. So iba-iba yung way of the credit team to compute. So akala mo, just because you have enough savings in the bank or you have other assets, ma-approve ako kasi may pera naman ako sa bangko eh. Ang problem is, doon sa ina-applyan mong loan, hindi ka naman depositor doon. So wala kang relationship with the bank. So, unfortunately, baka ma-decline yung loan mo. So this is very important, no? When you are building, kasi you're building a relationship with the bank. So, kailangan meron kang deposit diyan. Significant deposit that the bank is willing to, of course, build long-term relationship with you. And yun yung mga titingnan natin. Should we decide to go for bank financing? But if you have equity, then go for it, di ba? Bili mo yung property mo through equity. Yun ang ano talaga, yun ang best option. So this what will happen kay Benny and his wife kung ginaw niya yung decision na yon. Right? Kasi wala, it's a dream. It's a dream. Ang problem doon dream ni Benny yon. Ang tanong, dream ba yun ng wife? Right? What if ang mas important sa wife is for them to live comfortably, komportable, and then masupport nila yung dalawa nilang anak. Pero si Benny, matigas yung ano niya, yung aspiration niya mataas talaga and he really wants to buy that property. So, ano yung point ko dito? Imagine mo, gusto mo lang bumili ng bahay. Instead of securing your family, nasira pa yung pamilya mo. Diba? Just because you did not do your due diligence. Kasi that decision will of course hamper the growth of your family. So it's really important. Now, ano yung pangontra doon? Siyempre, Benny will have to increase his active income. Maybe Benny will have to do side hustle or maybe engage into entrepreneurship to increase his capacity to pay. Right? So ano naman mangyayari? Should he decide not to pursue, di masaya yung pamilya niya, masaya yung anak niya. And of course, they will be able to enjoy the benefits of his promotion as senior manager, right? So these decisions will make or break a family if hindi to pinag-usapan at hindi to talaga finactor in. And as I said kanina, buying a property is one of the most expensive decisions that you have to make. Pag nagkamali ka dito at hindi mo kayang panindigan, ang hirap balikan. Yan. Next is ownership. Owning a property is not as simple as buying it. You have to operate a property. You have to operate it. And to operate it, these are the things that you need to consider. Cost of ownership, like real property tax, association dues, property insurance, and cost of capital. So, kung may kondo ka, may bahay ka, normally you pay RPT. Imagine, kakabili mo lang ng property, magbabayad ka na naman ng tax. Ang daming tax, di ba? Ang daming tax when you're buying a property. Now, association dues, if you're living in a subdivision, or living in a condo, sa condo, meron tinatawag na condo corp. Pag sa subdivision, HOA, o Homeowners Association. So if you're living in that community, you have to pay ASOC dues to cover the following: security, garbage, amenities, or even landscaping. Kung may maganda kayong garden dyan na you need to maintain. So, but majority, ang madalas na major cost in an association is security. Lalo na kung mga exclusive villages yan. I have been a member of a homeowners association, so I know, I understand what are the major expenses that we normally discuss. Number one is security. Majority of the budget of any association goes to security. Kasi mahal po ang mag-manage ng security ng community. And ang mahal na ng security today. Yung if you are in a barangay naman, normally sakop naman yan ng sakop naman ng LGU. So pag may mga garbage collection, yan, sakop ng LGU yan. How about property insurance? Nako, need ko rin palang bumili niyan. Uso na naman ang flood, 'di ba? Earthquake. So, in the event of these fortuitous events, 'di ba? Are you prepared? Is the house insured for these calamities? So you have to consider this. I have a property in the province. So I pay more or less mga 30,000 property insurance a year. Wala pa yung ASOC juice, wala pa yung RPT. Yan. So, well, the goal for that is because I decided to own a property, nandito ako sa Manila, nasa province yon, I have to make sure na in the event of these calamities, protected yung asset ko. Yan. And last would be cost of capital. Of course, because you decided to buy a property, tali yung liquidity mo sa property. Right? So, mind you that when you sell a property, hindi naman yan instant. That when you decide today to sell a property, tomorrow mabibenta mo na siya. Hindi po ganun yun. It takes a while. Now, maybe you're familiar with what's happening in the market right now, diba? There's an oversupply. There's an oversupply of condos. So, ang daming bumili ng condo sa mid-market. 3 million to 12 million. Hindi nila ngayon mabenta. Sa sobrang dami, hindi nila alam anong gagawin. So kung ano-ano yung strategy ng mga developer para lang mabenta, may rent to own o kaya may move in na kahit 50,000 lang. No down payment, move in agad. 'Di ba? Para lang maubos nila yung unit nila. So ikaw, as someone who's looking out in the market, ask yourself, do I have enough capital or do I have enough equity? And is this the best time to purchase? And can I take the risk? Right? And if not, if you are at the level where you're just starting, you're building your investment, savings, equity, maybe wag muna. I caution you to at least, 'di ba, lessen your exposure. Especially if the market is not doing well. It's important to have liquidity when the market is doing well because paano ko yung asset, yung cash mo, tali lahat sa real estate. Di pag kailangan mo ng pera pang emergency, wala kang mahugot. Kasi hindi mo benta agad yan eh. In some cases, may mga nagbebenta na seller na ang mahal-mahal ng presyo nila, yung presyong di nagbebenta. Yun. So, no matter how beautiful your house is, if the market is not uh, taking it, wala. So, mapo-force ka talagang ibagsak ang presyo mo para lang makuha mo. So, later on, I'll discuss yung exit. Now, owning a property is more than just a financial milestone. It's a life decision that reflects our dreams, discipline, and direction. Fourth, maintenance. So, maintenance. Nakabili ka na ng property. For example, si Benny, nabili niya na yung townhouse. He was able to increase his income and he was able to uh, pay off the remaining balance. Now, the next thing that he needs to consider is maintaining the property for the X number of years that he's planning to stay in the property. And mind you, maintenance has different aspects. Akala ko maintenance parang ito lang. So madami pala yan. So I'm gonna discuss about this following maintenance. Merong preventive maintenance. These are the regular upkeep to prevent damage. Corrective maintenance. Fixing what's already damaged. Predictive maintenance. Scheduled inspection before major issues arise. And lastly, emergency repairs. Hi! Ang hirap pala, no? So just imagine you bought a big property. Let's say, tatlo lang kayo pero binili mo mansion. Right? Kunyari, nanalo ka sa loto and you bought a big property. Just imagine the amount of maintenance that you have to spend or invest, right? Ano kasi yan? Cash outflow lahat yan. So it's a question of readiness. Kaya mo ba? Can you pay for all this maintenance? So let me discuss about preventive maintenance. What are the example of this? Cleaning gutters, yan, madalas masira pag umuulan, repainting the walls, right? Pest control. Yan. Ang pest control ay quarterly pala ginagawa. How about termite treatment? Annually pala yan ginagawa. If you buy a house and lot or even a condo. So, how much did I paid 20,000 just for the termite treatment, tapos iba pa yung pest control. So, I myself parang, wow, ang daming gastos, basically. Paano kung wala kang sustainable or active income that pays for these expenses? So, how frequent? Quarterly to annual. Quarterly. Yung gutters normally, pag hindi naman butas or hindi pa nasisira, you don't need to fix it. But in our case, yung house medyo matagal na. So, may project ako. Right before umulan, 'di ba? Pinapaayos ko na yung gutters ng property. Kasi masisira eh. Magkakaroon ng leak. Next would be corrective maintenance, fixing what's already damaged. These are roof leaks, broken tiles, plumbing, or electrical repairs. So these are done only when needed, meaning as they arise. Yon. So it's important to look into these things. Paano kung wala ka na namang allocated funds for this? So literal, magli-leak yung cash flow mo. And now you have to spend. So in some instances, owners would normally just ignore it. Diba? If you are in the rental business and you ignore this, magagalit sa yung tenant mo. Minsan nagpo-cause pa to ng away. And because of the irresponsiveness of some landlords. Kasi hindi nila inaayos yung plumbing, yung leaks ng roof. Kasi pag nag-leak yung roof, syempre, sa ceiling yan dadaan. Tapos dadaan ngayon yan, bababayan sa loob ng bahay. So masisira at pupunta yan sa tiles, masisira yung tiles, tapos aangat yung tiles. And many more. So sometimes small things that lead to bigger issues if not prevented. Next would be predictive maintenance. Schedule inspection before major issues arise. What are these examples? Aircon cleaning kung nag-aircon ka. Water pump servicing. Waterproofing. Yon. So aircon, how frequent ba? In my case, I do it quarterly. Ang mahal pala magpalinis ng aircon, no? Pag split type. Kasi iba yung cost pag split type or window type or standing aircon. Yon. So just imagine, no, that the cost that you need. Yan na naman, labas na naman yan. Imagine mo, you're trying to manage this amount of salary and kung hindi ka ready and you're not able to allocate these expenses or think ahead way before it happens, lagi kang maso-surprise. And lastly, emergency repairs. These are sudden and unavoidable expenses. Like for example, nasira yung pipe or nagkaroon ng short circuit or biglang nag-collapse yung bubong. So what would you do? So these are emergency repairs. That's why before you go to emergency repairs, dapat meron kang preventive maintenance. So it's like taking care of your body. You don't wait until you're sick. Diba? You have to eat healthy, you have to exercise so that it will prevent you from being sick. But of course, kung inabuso mo, you take it for granted, eventually your body will pay for it. It's the same. The house is actually, or the property is considered similar as your body. Diba? Ganun po yan. Yung mga pipes ng property mo is like the arteries of your body. So pag yung pipe sa bahay ay may plaque or it's the same as heart, may plaque, may bara, 'di ba? So ano mangyayari? Masisira. Masisira yung actually ang mangyayari diyan, aalingasa, magkakaamoy. 'Yon. Mabaho yung amoy niyan. So pwede magkasakit kayo sa loob ng ng bahay. So it's important. These are things na hindi dapat ini-ignore. So these are maintenance that you need to consider, understand. Ang dami ko palang need intindihin. I need to look on really consider understanding all this cost involved in owning a property. It's not just as simple as acquiring it. Can I maintain it? So what are the common maintenance expenses? That's repainting, interior, exterior, plumbing, electrical works, roof repairs, waterproofing, floor replacement, aircon maintenance, fence repair, landscape, and of course, termite treatment and pest control. Madami pa yan, but these are just some things of common maintenance that I just shared for your uh, ideas na you need to look into. Okay, so we're now on our last 5 dimension of cost in owning a property. Okay, I bought it. I acquired the property. I paid all the taxes. And I bought it via equity. Hindi ako nag-finance. I was able to maintain the property and the property is well maintained. So, si Benny is now in his senior na siya. And then malalaki na yung anak niya. Dalawa na lang sila ng asawa niya sa property. Eh malaki na yung property nila for the two of them. 3 bedroom. Wala na yung mga anak nila. Now, the question is it the time for Benny to exit? So this topic is to understand when and how to let go of a property. Meaning, pwede ko na bang ibenta? Actually, this is a hard topic for many of homeowners, lalo na kung nagstay ka na matagal sa property. Kasi napamahal na sa'yo eh. Pinaganda mo, nirenovate mo pa, right? And syempre, renovating the property is also expensive. And then, ang dami nang na-build na memories. So, every time, in my experience, every time I talk to clients, minsan, yung malapit na kayo, turnover na nung property, ayaw pang bumitaw nung may-ari kasi ang daming memories dun sa property. Parang nagdadalawang isip, pwede bang wag na lang? Kasi 30 years na silang tumira doon and ang ganda-ganda ng experience nila doon sa memory na yon. So it's really hard to let go. But sometimes you have to look into a lot of factors, yung age mo, yung timing, market timing, if it's really the right time to let go. So here are the considerations that we need to look into. Number 1, capital appreciation. So has the property's value increased enough to justify selling? So how much did you buy it and how much is it now? Malaki na ba ang na-appreciate nung property? Let's say for Benny's case, he bought it at 10 million, 30 years later, 10 million pa rin ba yan? Or actually, it's not just 10 million kasi he paid additional expenses, diba? So when you sell the property, you have to consider all the expenses. Diba? Ako actually, if I do a comparative analysis, if you can do that, medyo matrabaho lang yun, is magkano yung total na nilabas ko of owning this property, and then compare it to the capital appreciation. Magkano talaga yung net proceeds ko pag binenta ko to? Kasi pag minarket mo yan based on the fair market value rate today, kumita ka ba talaga? O baka naman nalugi ka pa? So, you have to understand kung nag-peak na yung market value ng property. Second, liquidity needs. So, do you need cash for new investments or obligations? If you sell it, will you have free capital or additional capital for you to have better yielding assets? Meaning, senior naman na kami and we want to invest. Well, normally pag senior, ayaw na mag-invest niyan eh. Ang gagawin nila is mag-invest sila sa mga apo nila. Yan. So, you want to liquidate the fund so I can support my grandchildren's education. Ganyan. So, it really depends kung ano yung goal. But, bottom line, kung kailangan mo na ng pera and you want to invest in other important things in your life other than investing other assets, no, then you have to decide. Next would be cost of holding. Are taxes, dues, and maintenance outweighing the gains? So ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. You have to compute all the cost involved. Not just from the time you acquired it, but the maintenance, everything that you spent for in order to hold this property for XX number of years. Overall, kasi generally in prime markets or prime areas, ang taas ng capital appreciation. Minsan tumataas ng 20%. Imagine no, annually tumataas siya. Kung nandun ka sa prime area, walang problema. 'Di ba? Okay lang, benta mo na. Kasi kumita ka na eh. Kunyari, ang Forbes Park, binili ng lolo mo, 1 peso lang yan eh, noong 1940s, 50s eh. 1 peso per square meter. Eh magkano na yan ngayon? 'Di ba? Minsan umaabot na ng 3 billion yung property sa Forbes Park. Or Dasma. Ang Dasma parang 650,000 per square. So just imagine, tumubo ka na, tubong lugaw na. So kailangan mo ng pera. Maybe it's high time for you to consider. But well, that, for people kasi who live in those exclusive villages, the fact that they can afford to even live there, that means they have more than enough. Hopefully, it's not hindi galing sa flood control. Next would be market timing considerations. Economic conditions. Are rates rising, inflation high, or demands lowing? So, sa market cycle, you have to understand supply and demand. Ano yung mga interest rates ngayon? Mataas ba? Okay ba bumili? Okay ba magbenta? Kung sa condo naman, check mo yung mga launches ng developer, 'di ba? Paano yung pricing nila in the market? So, these are the things that you need to look into as well. So hindi lang siya talaga yung parang I have a property, sell ko na. So you have to be informed on both ends of the spectrum as a buyer and as a seller. Yan. Kasi that will help you, of course, take advantage of the information and of course the gains. So economic conditions, high borrowing rates, may lower buyer activity. So market cycle is the market peaking or flattening. So ito, like for example ngayon, what's happening in the market? So it's very evident, di ba? Start pa lang of the year, the real estate market is slowing. But of course, that presentation kasi do not entirely represent the real estate. Yung sinabi kasi nila mid-market. But in general, the high or upscale market is not that affected because they have so much money, they can afford to buy multiple assets. And so those in the luxury market, they can still buy. Ang tinamaan dito, middle class. Those who buy 3.6 to 12 million nga. But for those who can afford, they keep on buying. Of course, they buy the upscale and luxury properties or the properties in exclusive villages located in prime areas. Lastly, buyer sentiment. Are more buyers looking or hesitating? Buyer sentiment. So you have to understand the market. Marami bang bumibili ngayon? Kung sang area ka, kunyari may kilala kang agent, broker, or expert, di ba? Tanong ka, you use their data to compare. And then you check kailan ba may huling benta dun sa area mo. Di ba? Magkano bang going rate dyan? Baka mamaya kasi pag mag-decide kang ibenta, baka naman yung price mo is way above than the usual closing price. So, good luck kasi it might take you a while to fully sell your property. Sometimes may mga sellers na wala they're willing to wait for 2 years and nung hindi na makapaghintay eventually binababa naman nila yung price. So it really depends kung how soon do you need the money, kasi if you really need the money then you have no choice but to lower or at least price your property accordingly based on the going rate, or maybe less than going rate if you really need the money. But yun yan, you have to understand market timing. If money is not a concern and you have extra savings in investment, baka you don't need to lower it, di ba? So this is where financial decisions have to be considered into. Lastly, personal strategic considerations. So, ito, lifestyle change, family growth, yan, dumami na yung anak mo, apo mo, relocation, retirement, make the property impractical. Yon. Pwede kasi yung, as I mentioned earlier, si Benny, dalawa na lang sila dun sa bahay, nag-asawa ng mga anak, and then may mga apo na rin. So, medyo maalog na sila dun sa property. Baka they need to transfer na in a small unit or maybe a condo na mas favorable to them. So they might think of relocating in a condo and then retire from them. Kasi impractical na din for Benny to maintain the property. Kung senior ka na, ayusin mo pa ba yung bubong? Diba? Wala ka ng time to do that. Yung plumbing, yung electricals, just imagine. That's why I realized nga grabe no. You also need to know ano yung size of a property na comfortable kang i-hold and i-maintain. So hindi lang siya basta as simple ay may pera ako, I want to buy this big property. You really have to understand yourself. Can I maintain this property? How and up until when can I maintain this lifestyle? Kasi maintaining a property is lifestyle. Magastos siya. Next would be upgrading portfolio. So you can reinvest proceeds in better performing or diversified assets. And you have to consider that, di ba? So yung mga nagli-liquidate na, they look into other investment portfolios or other assets so that they can grow their cash. Yan. Yung gusto nila yung short term na lang. Pag normally mga seniors, mabilisan na lang Ayaw na nila ng long term Mga short term na lang kasi at any given time, di naman nila alam kung kailan sila tatawagin. So, right. But more so, they also reinvest the proceeds to their children's children. Yan, through estate planning. Yan. So this is where you simplify or transfer your assets to heirs efficiently. Now, I'm pretty sure maybe we have maybe we have financial advisors here. This is insurance is important in estate planning. Diba? Yung mortgage redemption insurance, yan. Yan. Kasi kung hindi mo na proyekto, paano yan kung binenta mo or kunyari, hindi nag-estate planning yung parents, yung mga anak, di naman liquid. So dumaan ng extrajudicial settlement yung property. When it goes through EJS, you have to pay estate tax, which is an equivalent of 6%. So, another gastos na naman po. Hindi ready yung anak. Nangyayari din po ito. May mga yung napagmanahan. Tapos, yung property pala, ang daming back taxes, ang daming utang. Tapos may annotation pa doon sa title. Tapos hindi na nabayaran. So, nag-decide sila magbenta. Hindi nila mabenta. Kasi ang condition ng buyer, ayusin nyo muna yan bago ko bilhin. Why would I risk my money na hindi ayos yung ownership nyo? You have to fix your back taxes. Just because the parents did not do their estate planning. So this is where insurance is important. All right, so every property has a season. You should know when to plant, when to nurture, and when to harvest. The Bible said in Luke 14:28, "For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it?" So, in any investment, do not be easily excited with the equity that you have. You have to be you have to think enough and understand the full picture of owning an investment. And in this case, real estate ownership. Because the cost involved is a lot. And if you did not do your due diligence or extra due diligence, hindi lang ikaw ang magsasuffer, but also your children's children. And as a wise investor, you have to always count the cost. So, yeah, that's all for my talk today. So this is my company. It's a clean and fix. We handle cleaning and repair. So we do a lot of services, condo, sanitation, disinfection. Yon. That's why I know a lot of this kasi this is my business. So aside from selling properties, brokering, so we handle a lot of property management. And this is where I really realize, I've realized ang dami palang problema, ang daming kailangang ayusin, ang daming kailangang intindihin when you own a property. And sometimes we're not ready for it. So my message to you is always prepare. Always prepare and always count the cost because every peso counts. So thank you so much everyone for listening today. I'm Jesse James Llamado. So if you want to know more about what I shared, you can contact me, you can email me. Yan. And if you have any property needs, you can contact me as well, or listing or property that you want to sell. That's our website, jml2realty.com. So once again, thank you so much, RFP, for inviting me to share this topic for today. Thank you, everyone.
All right. And as a mean of our appreciation, sir, we give you the certificate of appreciation for sharing your expertise and knowledge for today's CPD.